documentation and give them the right answers for the right questions. And you can either point them to the right question in the documentation, but sometimes people ask questions that are not there. So it really helps to lead them to the Slack support or email or whatever the right channel is for you. And the way it works is you can see here for our Jina framework, we have this chatbot integrated. And so, for example, I need to find some kind of information in my documentation. For example, I want to find out what a flow is. But, if maybe I don't know the terminology, or I'm not quite clear on where everything is structured. So instead of searching through, I don't know, what is it? Flow, and trying to find like what is the right answer here, or thinking of the right keywords to ask, I can just, as if I would ask our friendly DevRel team on Slack, I can just ask the chatbot, what is a flow in the Docs UA chatbot, and get the right answer, and also see where it's located in the documentation without spending a lot of time searching. And you as a maintainer can then see, I will show that later, what people are asking, and improve the content in your documentation to give better results. So yeah, how do we do that? Getting started with Docs UA is super easy, integrating it in your website. We have just a few prerequisites. So one is that the documentation needs to be public and hosted on GitHub, so that our bot can actually access the code and the information. And the other is that it needs to be structured in Markdown or restructured text. So the parsing will work without a flaw. And the last topic is that so if you put it, for example, in your documentation page, like here, the structure of the folder needs to be the same as in the GitHub repository as on your website. But that's pretty much it. You can find out all the detailed information here in the documentation, where we explain all of the steps individually, but I think that's pretty much it. And yeah, other than that, it's super easy. You just log in with your GitHub account and decide which repository you want to index. So I would just choose this branch from the Jina repository, and we can see here, Docs UA gets the relevant information if it finds any, and already inputs it here. So for this field, we just specify where the documentation is located, where these Markdown files, for example, are located. And here we specify some suggested questions that we give to the user when they want to, just to give them an idea of what kind of things they can ask. And you can also specify a URL or any kind of questions that you want. And we also have a bunch of extra features, which are all explained in the documentation. So you can, for example, if you want to add some FAQ questions, or they're located in a different place, you can specify all that there. And then all you need to do is click index, and the Docs UA will start indexing the project. This takes around 20 minutes for the first time. So this is basically like a one-time thing. We will check on your documentation weekly. And so now it's indexing the information. And while we're waiting, we can already change all the settings for the chatbot. So we have a preview window here. you can see I already asked it some question before. And for example, if you want it to be closed by default or open, or have this call to action open, you can change all the settings and go wild. And then the last step is adding the code snippet for this chatbot onto your website. For example, this would be the snippet. And for Jina, we have this template for the documentation generation. And so we just put the snippet here and it's pretty much done. And then we just wait for the indexing to be done and we're good to go. Once the indexing is done, as you can see here, you can start asking the chatbot any kind of questions as you would in your own user interface. And once people start using the chatbot and giving input, you as the maintainer can use the dashboard for DocsQA to see all the DocsQA bots you've deployed. You can edit the snippet here and see what kind of questions people ask. And also they have the option to up or downvote the answer to see if the content or the replies from the chatbot are relevant. So you can see here we have some answers for this question, and that's pretty much it so far. And we're really excited. We really hope you guys think it's also an awesome tool, and we hope you try it out and give us feedback. And I will share the link to this page, or I think Sophia will share it. And we're looking forward to any questions you guys might have. I'm not sure, do we do questions now or later? Or
Yep, we can do them now. Thank you so much, Leon. So everyone, Sophia has dropped a link into the chat room if you want to submit your questions anonymously. Otherwise, don't hesitate to unmute yourself and just speak up and ask your questions here. So any questions around the DocsQA that Leon just presented? And I see Sophia also provided the link to test out DocsQA as well. Thanks, Kevin. Kevin said, very cool.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we'll give them just a few minutes because sometimes it takes them a minute to think of the questions they want or type them up. So I'll speak up, Leon, as soon as we have them. Yeah,
I mean, we'll be here. Aziz from DocsQA is also here to answer all the technical questions. So don't feel rushed. Just and you can always ask in the Slack channel as well. So.
All right, we'll give you about one more minute. I do have a few other questions I see already popped up around JCloud. So I'll wait and see if any more come in around DocsQA. Give it a few more seconds, otherwise we'll jump to the next questions. I feel like we should get some music, like I guess we can't do Jeopardy. Is that copyrighted? Don't do the doo-doo.
We can generate some some AI
Make
music.
our own music. Yeah. There you go. All right, fabulous. So we'll go ahead and jump into some of the questions. The first one we have around DocsQA is the search using BERT as a service-like model? Aziz.
Yep. BERT as a service. I mean, the search internally uses like transformer models, like BERT and everything. But I don't know, what do you exactly mean by BERT as a service?
Whoever submitted the question, do you mind clarifying?
If you're talking about the AI model, then yes, it's using the AI model, but we we Dockerize it ourselves and we upload it to JCloud. So I mean, it's kind of similar to BERT as a service, but I just want to know, what do you exactly mean with BERT as a service? Also, Omar in the chat said, can Docs QA be integrated with Next.js by Next?
Oh, Aziz, you muted yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So by Docs QA, by Next.js, you mean the framework, right, for JavaScript? So you mean the language? So do you mean, can we have Docs QA as a chatbot for the framework Next.js? If yes, then yeah, there's nothing stopping Docs QA from being a chatbot for Next.js. Just have to make sure that it's written in Markdown or in RST format, and then we're good to go.
All right, I will proceed with the other questions. It looks like that's kind of it around Docs QA. So we've got one here that says, is JCloud a production-ready environment? What are the limits associated with various resources like storage, compute, bandwidth, etc.?
Let me answer this question. So JCloud is production ready in terms, yeah. So it is working in Kubernetes for you to use, and for the limits, if you go to the documentation in the Jina repo, you will find under JCloud there is a clear statement on what are the limits for memory and disk space and storage that we offer, for instance. And in your flow, you can set a JCloud set of parameters that will relate to this kind of specific resources parameters in Kubernetes.
Thanks, John. All right, and then next question. Gus says, hello, how to handle sensitive environment variables, .env, when pushing executors as private to the Jina hub. Is it better to containerize them locally?
So let me answer this one. Or Degi, maybe you wanted to answer this one?
No, you go ahead, John.
Well, yeah. So this is something that we know that we have to handle yet. So it's true that the alternatives right now that you may have is to either not use in a hub and use your own Docker images and Dockerize your images yourself, and Flow can consume those. That is, and also the other alternative is to use it in the Flow and handle this with these Kubernetes secrets. But this is something that also in JCloud we need to cover much better. So it is a concern that we also share and we have in our head. But right now the support for this is not so great, but we will look into it. So yeah, Dockerizing yourself might be the best case, but it would be good for us to understand your use case, because also what you can do is in your executor yourself do the access to the secrets via some Vault or some of these configuration databases. But it would be cool if you can share in the community Slack your use cases so that we can understand better what the needs in this direction are.
Got it. All right. The next question is, this anonymous says, I'm curious if there is any work on image search, specifically searching 2 images at the same time.
It would be interesting to understand the question. So in image-to-image search, there is a lot of work done. And I think in our documentation, there might be some examples, and there are a lot of models to work there. And what about searching 2 images at the same time? I don't know if I don't understand that concept. Is it about concurrency and parallelization, or what is the concern exactly there?
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. So sorry if this is a little bit off track. But
You're good. We're here for it.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm kind of working on as like a pet project is trying to do image search with 2 different images. So the idea would be, I know there's a lot of tools where you could search one image, and maybe I think in some cases they try to break down the image into like vectors or maybe tags and such. And I was curious if there's any work where if you do two images at the same time, you could kind of get two separate combination of those either tags or vectors or whatnot, and then somehow combine them and then try to generate images, or not generate, but I guess a search for images after that. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any
I
sense.
think this is a really interesting approach, and I'm sure that in Jina we can cover with our multimodal design and so on. But for such a complex issue, I think it's better if you can share it in the Slack. I don't know if you're in the community Slack, but I really encourage you to join us there. And I think there we can have a more profound discussion about this by text.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I had some free time today, so just hopped on.
Technically speaking, there's nothing stopping you from inputting two images and then generating embeddings and then concatenating the embeddings and then doing search.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So technically speaking, and like if you want to code it, then you can code it. But as Johan said, I don't see like a use case where you would need to use two images. I don't know. Maybe you have a use case. So yeah, let us hear about it.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. So embeddings and concatenating the embeddings. Yeah.
Instead of concatenating the embeddings, you can concatenate the two initial images and then generate one embedding for the whole like combination of the two images.
Right. And I think my thinking was like kind of getting a data set of images and kind of getting the embeddings of that data set and trying to like match the closest embedding to like existing data set. And so that would kind of but the use case would just kind of be like a design thing. So you could kind of like, for example, you could have like like an avocado and a couch, and put two images in there, and then I will have like an avocado on a couch. I know like probably Dolly and whatnot, they're already like working on this, but it's like searching would be pretty interesting too. But anyways, yeah, just rambling here. Sorry.
No, that's why we host these, Joe.
Okay.
All right. Anyone, any other questions that you want to submit or speak up and ask? Give you a few more seconds to type them in. All right, well, you guys are looking to submit your questions. I'm going to go ahead and do a shameless plug here. So this week we announced a new program called JCAP. It stands for our Jina Community Advocate Program. This is our inaugural year, so we're really excited to kind of roll it out. We're accepting applications for the JCAP panel now, and so I will go ahead and drop that link. I should create a bit.ly link for that so it's not so long. The application should only take about 10 minutes, but it's kind of a part of our hand-selected elite group. Applications do close next Wednesday, which is July 6th. And then we will take a week to kind of review the applications, get a few interviews in, and then we will announce the week of July 18th who this elite group is going to be. In this program, you'll get direct one-on-one mentorship from our engineers. will help build your skills and resume. You get beta access to our new products and features. There's some speaking opportunities if that's something you want. Plus, you get exclusive JCAP inaugural swag, which who doesn't love some swag? There's an invite-only channel, and we'll also add Jina Advocate to your Slack name, and just many, many, many opportunities. So if you're interested, please go ahead and apply for that program. Again, you've got till Wednesday. So I say the earlier the better, and application process really should only take about 10 minutes. And if you have any questions around that, drop them in. Let me revamp our polls over here and see if there's any.
So this is cute. I have a quick, simple question. So let's say can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, okay. So let's say actually I have my own Docker image, and then I would like to run that Docker image onto the Kubernetes cluster. And then is there any specific information should we set up in the when sending that configuration YAML file to run the flow, or what kind of some technical difficulties do you have when you roll out some of your Docker container to the Kubernetes? Is there any barrier? It's just smooth as it is, or what kind of things, small things we should take care of to run smoother in the Kubernetes?
So in theory, so we hope for a smooth experience. So if the experience is not so smooth, we will have to review our documentation and everything. But in theory, so when you have to understand what Jina at the end, from the Kubernetes perspective, every of these Docker images that you will see dumped in your Kubernetes file, every Docker image with its entry point it defines all the set of microservices that Jina has designed with this executor, this gateway that you can see in documentation. So as long as they can start, then there is a smooth. And the way normally the smoothest is to go through Jina Hub, because we have we normalize the Docker files so that they fit into the standards, so that the process of starting these executors and this is the smoothest. So in theory, it should be okay.
Is there any do I need to set up any file permission and the privilege to access the file, or?
No, in theory, no. If you have them in your Docker file, so if you can run the Docker images locally, then I think in the Kubernetes cluster, I think I'm not so much of an expert, but if the permissions are right from the Kubernetes cluster administrator, it should be okay. So this is somewhere where Jina is at this point. Maybe JCloud in the future will handle this better, but as Jina is a framework and the open source part, it cannot affect that part.
Okay, in some case, when I try to run some of the your Jina Hub, and then I got some error like the config.yaml file is not loaded successfully. So that executor was not loaded successfully. Those kind of errors I can get in some case. So what's the scenario that I can look at in that case?
So is it something that you can report as an issue in the core? Because that, I mean, it can be for many reasons. Maybe sometimes you maybe not be able to load it because there is no enough memory, because or maybe inside the executor, at the initialization of the executor, you are looking for some files or some paths that don't work.
Yeah, but I can only see it's a little bit tricky to debugging those kind of errors. So what I see, the error message is just we cannot load config.yaml, but it is there. So I'm not sure where should I look at.
Have you tried to set the Jina log level to the back? in that Kubernetes node to see if there is more debug information for you to understand?
No, I haven't tried it. I just used the Jina Herb, not our internal Kubernetes yet. But when I
But you
using
have
the
your Jina Hub in a Kubernetes environment or locally or in Docker?
no, but what I'm talking about right now is the Jina Herb, and then we don't have any Kubernetes yet. So
Would it be possible for maybe us to sit together or for you to open a ticket to open an issue in the open source
yeah, I can
for
do
us
that, but
to follow?
I will do that. But basically, historically, did you have any get kind of the question when using that Jina Herb? It's a simple. In
Normally,
some cases, that doesn't come up, but in some cases, it just come up. So I just wonder, like.
normally for executors in Jina Hub,
Mhm.
we have found these things when people are trying to Dockerize their own executor themselves. But
Okay.
for the executors in Docker Hub that right now mostly are contributed by the team, we have a strong CI/CD process to
Got it.
update works and so on. So it's surprising. That's why I would like to see if you have a specific case that we can reproduce and learn from.
Sure. Yeah, I will set up, and then also, two case. I just mixed the two questions. One is the local Docker, the other one is the Jina Hub. But right now I'm asked that Jina Hub case that config.yaml cannot load it, something like that. But it is there. So, and then that's the one part. The other part is I have a local Docker container, Docker image.
Yes.
Would like to load into the Kubernetes cluster, which is internally we operate. So that's my basic question is there any specific step or technical challenge to roll into the Kubernetes or not? We are trying to load, but in advance, I would try to get some wisdom to avoid some kind of error or technical difficulties if you have.
You have to make sure that I'm not sure about every cluster, but in some clusters, I think you need to register, depending on the registry. If you have the Docker image only locally, I think you have to register this image. Even if you are trying locally with Minikube or whatever, I think you have to register the image, as far as I remember.
Oh, okay. You should register to the, okay.
Yeah, otherwise, I'm not so sure that Minikube can have access to your own local Docker images if you don't register them.
Okay,
but I'm talking of memory and not.
No problem. I just wanted to get some wisdom before we actually try and edit the cycle. So if I just make sure that if you already have some challenges, then I would address it before we actually roll out onto the Kubernetes. Thank you. I might check that. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks for the question, Kiel. All right, we've got another question that has been submitted. It says, can I deploy multiple executors on a single GPU? Will the tasks be scheduled or the executor can occupy partial memory on GPU and work in parallel?
Yes, if the multiple GPUs physically can fit in GPU virtual RAM, it will work fine, perfectly. If there's exceeded from the physical memory, then it will get error like normal application auto memory error. But yeah, if it's fit in the executor RAM itself, then it's fine. It can work parallelly without any problem. Yeah.
Thanks. Jem Shebek, it looks like you have a question. Raise your hand.
Yes, I do. Hi. Hi, how are you guys? I had a question earlier. For some reason, I thought the meeting was at 1:30, so I came in at 1:30. The first question I had was about the JCloud. I'm pretty sure it's been answered. Just wanted to hear that answer one more time, if that's okay.
We did, but we had more questions around it. So go ahead, Joel.
Oh, okay.
Well, the one on whether JCloud is ready and the resources, is that the one?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, so JCloud is ready for usage. So even DocsQA, for instance, is using JCloud. So we trust our own products. And then for the resources, normally in the documentation, you can see that for memory, we have a limit, I think, of 16 gigs. I mean, I'm talking by memory, but you can check in the documentation for storage. Also, we have a limit for bandwidth that you specifically ask. I think this is something we don't know. It's given by the AWS, I think, by our Kubernetes cluster. So for this specific, I think this is the limitation, not from JCloud itself.
I see. Yeah. I mean, the reason I asked is because we had a launch. We'll have a launch in the fall with our like a V1 MVP, and this is mostly search based. And we were gonna go with the EC2 and just like set up like a volumes on AWS. So yeah, this is something that we want to kind of like rely on in the future. That's why I was wondering about the role of the JCloud. Is this something necessarily not for production, but like for testing and like deployment, deploying your services? Or are you guys planning on making it like an actually like a production ready for companies and startups to come in and use it like right away for their instances? So
it is production ready with the features that you can see in the documentation, and we have big plans and it's gonna even provide better features and better. So it's the plan is to get it better on this. But yeah, you can rely on that for now.
Awesome. And I guess this is probably hard to tell right now, but in the future, if we have let's say an increased load or like let's say maybe more memory or maybe more CPU, is that something that you guys plan on having like a paid plan? So because like honestly, we don't mind paying for the service if it's there, right? Because we were going to pay anyway. So is that something in the plans, or is it just are these limits like kind of strict?
So for this, about the plans is something that we have many plans in many directions. Is something that we are not ready to announce, but for sure, this JCloud will evolve. That is what I can share.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Feel free to drop them in the poll, drop them in the chat, or just speak up.
Yeah, I actually have more if no one else has any.
Do it. That's what we're here for.
Okay, awesome. So I'm having trouble understanding the async threading nature of requests coming into the executors. So like we have an executor, for example, that calls into the Google Cloud for like one of their APIs. And then like the entire flow could be like 2 to 3 minutes. So is there a way that we can use like some kind of a queuing mechanism, or is that something that's given that I'm missing? Because like how do we kind of put our like a request into a queue and then check on their statuses instead of kind of like right now the client kind of just waits when the request is out there. So I feel like I'm missing something there. So I just want to get your guys' opinion on it.
I think this question is rather complex. I think it's better to go in the community and maybe we have a more chat about this.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Any others? We're here for you.
Yeah, I can ask a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please do ask one. Yep.
Okay. So you can so deploy the flows, and then you can use that endpoint to index your documents, and you can also deploy that indexed embeddings to the zcloud, right? Already. So yeah, I'm a bit confused there. Yeah, I don't know if somebody can clarify a bit more.
So what's the confusion? I don't understand exactly.
So you can deploy the flow itself, or just the flow, just the executors, yeah, from the YAML file, right? The flow.yaml, let's say.
Yes.
And then you can use this flow to index the documents.
Yes.
And once it's indexed, you can deploy this indexed embeddings also to the zcloud, right? And you can just have an endpoint where you then do the client sorts from the client side, from the
Yes.
input.
So if you store, so the flow can be used for indexing or searching regardless of your point. And then also when you index, you may have volumes, and you can save your indexes and use them also in another flow later. Or you can use external databases and use executors for storing them in those databases. So the options are endless, actually.
If you query just the flow,
Yes.
without indexing, but is that possible as well? I guess
Yes,
so.
so a flow is agnostic to what executors are there. So a flow is an abstraction over for a pipeline of executors, and a flow will efficiently stream and pass all these requests to executors in the provided order of the flow, so that they make sense, and reply to the client. So depending on how you define your flow and what do executors do, it will make sense to search the flow or not.
Okay, yeah, because I was trying this example from Alex. Is not here, but yeah. So like if I query directly, so I thought he was only deploying the flow, and if I query, if I already do the client source in his endpoint, I already get the result. So that means the volume it's already indexed endpoint.
Yeah. So that is because Alex, in this case, designed that flow in this sense. In this case, you are the client using this flow, but if you were designing the flow, you could design the flow with the executors that you decide.
Okay, no, because I tried to do it myself and didn't work for me. So I was just confused what I was doing wrong. So maybe I thought I had to index and then deploy that somehow to the cloud, zcloud. So
yes, maybe makes sense.
Any other questions? We'll reload our poll.
I don't have a question, but I built an application with Clip as service.
Tell us more, Tom.
Should I demo it? I mean, I can share my screen, hopefully.
Let's do it.
Just a second.
Sophia, does he need access to share his screen? There he goes.
No, good.
Okay.
Wow, my image is on the front.
So what I built is an image search that searches through your video files and extracts interesting images and also optimizes them. So you can just take a video. For example, this video I took, we're just filming some buildings. And I built a website around that. And now here I can just upload that file. Hope it's the same one. And now you should see how Clip as service is going through all of the video frames and is extracting the frames that have the highest quality. So this is the current frame. This is the score, so 0.5 might be a bit too small to read. And down here, the lower image is always the best frame that it found up until now. And immediately, I think it's clear that it knows what it's doing. I mean, the frame that it currently recognizes as the best frame, I mean, I think it's pretty, and it's pretty impressive to me that it's already able to identify the best frame. And now if you leave it running for a while, I did that for some other videos, then it goes through a lot of frames. And it also applies some optimization, just changing contrast randomly, changing the image ratio, the part of the image that is being used. And then I use Clip as service continuously to evaluate how good the picture looks. And then I just select all of the best images. And that's what's coming out in the end. And I mean, I think that's pretty impressive that you can use Clip as service to create images like that, just from some random videos, from me randomly filming. So I'm pretty impressed that it's possible to search through videos like that. Yeah, that's it. Any comments?
Cool.
Great.
This is cool. Just a quick question. So the goal of this service is to identify best frame, or?
Well, the goal is in the end to have some photography AI for me, because now I no longer have to look at good images, good shots I can take.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I can just randomly walk through the city, just having my phone in my hand, videoing, and it's taking amazing images. I just have to upload the video file to this website I built later on, and I'm getting amazing images that have good contrast, that are optimized. And I'm doing all of this just with Clip as service, just by searching through the video frames, by just searching for search terms like good image, high quality image, and so on, and filtering the frames like that.
Oh, so please correct me if I'm wrong. You go to the video clip and then run the clip as a service, and then you wanted to get the high quality the frame, and then only remaining that frame, and then get rid of low quality frame, and then make a new high quality video clip. Is that what you are looking for?
I mean, I also thought about that. That's also a possibility, but I'm just really want single pictures. So I'm just looking for cool images.
Cool images. What do you mean cool image? You took a picture, the road and then building. So what do you mean it's a cool image?
So one of the things this was something I was also thinking about, where instead of being a really good photographer and trying to capture the moment, you could kind of just use a video camera and just videotape things. So you don't really have to be really precise about the frames. And so after that, you run it through Clip as a service, I guess, and then it will pop out like some of the best images for you. And so it saves a lot of time. Yeah.
Okay. But maybe it's not the picture that or frame that photographer want, right? It's best based on the quality of the frame. You just suggest the best frame, but that's not always correspond to what the photographer wanted to take a picture. Is that right? Right.
Well, you can use Clip as service to filter for all kinds of things. I mean, you can literally enter the terms for the object you want to have, or the building or the colors or so on. And I mean, you can of course apply multiple queries per frame. So you can select for greatest image while also having a frame of the object you want, while also in a special kind of lighting or so on. So extremely flexible.
Okay, this is cool, really fantastic. Thank you.
But what converts the video into frames? Is it the video executor, or is it the clip itself?
Converting the video into frames.
Yeah.
That's just it's not done by clip itself. So I'm reading frame by frame and then sending it to clip for evaluation.
You're doing manually. There's no executor. There's a video executor, right?
Like at the moment I'm doing it manually. I'm not sure about a video executor.
Okay.
I mean, would be interesting if that is the case. Not sure about that.
And how many frames per like second of video, or how?
I'm just like 30 frames a second.
Okay.
And then filming for a few minutes, and then I mean, I get pretty cool good images.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you can also sort with you can also text sort them.
Right, I'm sorting them at the end based on quality. So what you're seeing here is the top quality image according to clip.
Okay.
And then that's the next top quality image, and I think they are pretty amazing. I mean, I wouldn't be able to take photos like that and then select the part of the image that corresponds to that input. And then also what's challenging is to really change contrast and so on, that the image looks good. I mean, I can show you the original image, I think. So you can see what clip or what the program really is doing. So this is the original image, but you can see here, like, I mean, it went through the video, selected one of the best frames, which was this image in the middle you see. And then it also, just by randomly doing crops and changing contrast and so on, optimized the image further. So it's a multi-stage process, and not just searching for the best image, but also searching for the best image optimizations. Okay.
That's really cool. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for sharing, Tom. All right, and it does look like we got another question. It is clarifying on the BERT as a service question. So what they were saying is the ventilator acts like a batch scheduler and a load balancer. What is the equivalent of ventilator in Jina? How does it batch data?
How do we batch data in Jina? So in Jina we have like the I think you can control like the number of documents that you send to like Jira Flow. I don't know if that answers your question. And also when you create like an executor with you can also like specify the batch size argument and control the batch size yourself.
Perfect. Thanks, Aziz. I love this. We got a demo from Tom. We're getting our questions answered. The collabs are great. All right. Any other questions? We got a few minutes left.
Just a very quick question. I mean, it's very simple, awesome. But I'm quite a bit confused. So when we send the document from client to the flow that we have already deployed in the cloud, then what should we do if we wanted to, I mean, in the example that I see in the Jina document, it shows that we can send the document from the client to the flow in the server, and then we can index it. But index will be recorded in the client side. How we can record it in the server? Then when we wanted to do the search, we just send the query to the server, and the database for the index is on the server. and find out the search. Because in this case, when the index is in the client side, then when you do a query from the client side to search, then I don't know, I got confused at how it can find the matches.
What do you mean by having the index at the client side?
I mean, so when you send from the client by port forwarding, for example, your documents to be indexed, you
Yes.
just do the client post dash index and it indexes the data. You get the index data, but how about if you wanted to search and get the match from the client?
So when you do the index, the flow will forward all these documents to every executor. And if there is an executor that acts as an indexer, when you search, you may have an executor that at search time will respond and do the match there. So it all boils down to how you define your flow and which executors are there in your flow.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, basically you can have multiple executors, and first executor can index your data and create embeddings for your data, and then after that, maybe you can have some search executor that queries your embedding depending on maybe you have also some database of embeddings, and you can query through these embeddings. So you just not get embeddings itself, you can get the match within the documents. So it's like flow of document arrays. So you can do many things within one round through request response cycle.
I see. Thank you.
Any other questions? 4 minutes left. Take advantage of the time while you have it. All right. Okay, if we don't have any other questions, we will wrap that up for today. Thank you everyone for a very active and engaged, I'm blanking on what this is called. It's been a long day already, for our office hours. And if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us in our Slack community. I know that Sophia has dropped the link in here in our chat group. And then also anyone interested in being an advocate, please do apply. All right.
Thank
and
you.
a link to the docs QA. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.